Okay, so let's just have a look at, okay, first of all, hello, hello, hello. Sorry for being rude. Welcome back to this awesome lesson on paper 2, trigonometry. How do we solve, these or simplify these kind of questions without the use of a calculator? Okay, so Mr. Maka will give you a statement, right, whereby he says, if cos theta is equal to 5 over 13. All right, so then the if portion is the given statement. That is what you work with. And tan theta is less than 0, which means tan theta is negative. Okay, so the first two clauses, those are the given statement. This is what we're going to work with in our cast diagram in order to calculate, or rather to simplify what Mr. Maka is asking for us. So he says that we need to determine, or she says that we need to determine 2 sine theta cos theta. If we're only given that cos theta is 5 over 13 and tan theta is negative. Okay, so then you start off, it's a stepwise process, ladies and gents. So you start off with your cast diagram, right? All students take coffee. That's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you go back to the statement. Step 2, go back to the given statement. Cos theta is equals to positive 5 over positive 13. So in other words, we need to make a mark where cos is positive. Okay, so then we know that cos is positive in the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, this is where everybody's positive, as well as the fourth quadrant. Okay, so yeah, I'm using blue circles. You can use a tick and a tick, right? Or a cross and a cross. You can use any marker to basically try and determine your playground. You'll see what I mean just now by the word playground. Okay, and then step 3, also from the clause, because it says and where 10 is negative. Okay, so now you use a different marker. So you could, if you had used a tick and a tick over here, you can use a cross. So I used an orange square to say that, okay, this is where 10 is negative. So wherever you have two occurrences, right? Because step 4 says now we need to zoom onto this quadrant here, quadrant 4. Because there are two occurrences, we have a circle and a square. We have a blue occurrence as well as the orange occurrence. This is our playground based on the given statement. So we zoom in. When you zoom in, here's quadrant 4. Okay, now, ladies and gents, this is a Cartesian plane, right? So that's at your origin. Over here, this is your y-axis, okay? And then at the top, that's where you have positive numbers. At the bottom, that's where you have negative numbers. Think of the lift when you're on the ground floor in Rosebank or at a mall, and you want to go up, right? Let's say you want to go to the restaurant. You click or you press level 3, and that takes you up. Up is positive numbers. Okay, or if you're at the ground floor, and then let's say you want to go to the gym, and the gym is in the basement, you press down, and that will be your negative numbers. So this is your x, this is your y-axis, I beg your pardon. The vertical is your y-axis, okay? And then the horizontal is your x-axis. Okay, so once again, that's 0. So think about what your ruler looks like, right? It starts from 0 all the way to 30 centimeters or 15 centimeters if you have a short ruler. So on this side, it's all the positive numbers. And then on the left-hand side, that's when you started learning about negative numbers, I don't know, in grade 7 or grade 6, right? On the left-hand side, so or think about the weather, where you say, okay, it's so cold, I mean, I'm staying in Europe, it's so cold, and now the weather is -3 degrees. So this is your x-axis. So over here, there's negative numbers. Okay. So I don't want you to be losing marks on something so simple, but trust me, I've seen students making a lot of mistake on these. Okay, so you cannot survive high waters and drown in shallow waters. So if this is trivial to you, well done. But then other people are still struggling with this. That's why I thought I should make a video. Okay. So now you've got, now you're labeling your values, right? Because remember the statement had given us as cos is 5/13. Cos is car. Your r is your x-axis, so there it's +5. Your h is 13. Your hypotenuse or your r is always positive. Okay. And then your O. Okay, so we got your O by means of Pythagoras. But now you can't say it's 12 here because we said here, or Mr. Descartes, right? He's the one that came up with the Cartesian plane. Mr. Descartes said that the numbers that are at the bottom are negative numbers. So when you do your Pythagoras, please put in brackets because of BODMAS, okay? I'll emphasize again in the next lesson. Please put your brackets. So you've got your hypotenuse squared is equals to opposite plus adjacent. You've got your, this was given to us, so Katua, A over H. So you write the formula. This is the one that we learned in grade 8. Where you see your H, you plug in 13 squared. O is what we need to figure out. Plus 5 there. 5 is positive. Okay, then you do your magic and you square root. Your answer is actually plus or negative 12. Because if you say 12 squared, you get 144. Similarly, if you say negative 12 in brackets, BODMAS, you get 144. Okay, so the value that is applicable according to where we've zoomed in, Descartes said that the numbers at the bottom are negative numbers, is negative 12. Please make sure that you've labeled your coordinates correctly, or else you're going to lose a mark here. You can't say this is a positive, whereas it's on a negative side. You are going to lose marks on something so simple. Okay, and then we need to answer the question, which said we need to determine 2 sine theta cos theta. So we work out what sine theta is, and once again, so Katua, it's opposite over hypotenuse. According to where we zoomed in, our opposite is negative 12. So where you see your O, you plug in negative 12. H is always positive, that's 13. And to say that sine theta is equal to negative 12 over 13, it means that where I see sine theta, I'm going to plug in negative 12 over 13. Where I see cos theta, I'm going to plug in 5 over 13. Okay, we are not solving for theta. They didn't say, Mr. Marker didn't say solve for theta. He said determine 2 sine theta cos theta. He didn't say find the value of theta. So it's all about ratios, which is the fraction. So you plug in and then you can use a calculator, which happens to be 120 over 169. Okay. For question 1, we are also given an if statement, okay, which says if 13 cos A is equals to -5 and angle A is between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. With the aid of the sketch and without the use of a calculator, find cosec A. So same thing, step 1, you draw your CAS diagram. All students take coffee. Step 2, simplify the if statement because now Mr. Maka said if 13 cos A is equals to -5. So make your cos A the subject of the equation. In other words, divide by 13 on both sides. So now we've got our numerator as a -5, and our denominator as +13. So now we are interested where cos is negative because our numerator is negative. Okay, so now we're going to go onto our cast and we mark our territory. Okay, cos is negative in the second quadrant as well as the third quadrant. Okay, Then Mr. Marker said angle A is between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. We measure anti-clockwise, ladies and gents. We start from quadrant 1 at the rest position. There's 0 degrees. So picture as if you're using your protractor. So there's 0 degrees. We're going anti-clockwise. So it's 0, 90, 180. So in other words, we're starting from here, 180 to 360. So you plug in your orange square or your cross or your star or your heart, whatever that's appealing to you as a marker to actually indicate what your territory is. I love my orange square and my blue circles, and then you make a mark on quadrant 3 as well as quadrant 4. Then we zoom in where there are 2 occurrences. We've got a blue circle and the orange square. We zoom in. So in other words, we zoom into quadrant 3. Mr. Dacre said that top numbers are positive numbers, bottom numbers are negative numbers. The right-hand side, we've got positive numbers. On the left-hand side, we've got negative numbers. Okay, then you do your, remember now the question said cos A is negative 5 over 13. That's so katua ka, the negative 5. It's on the left-hand side of your x-axis. Do your Pythagoras to find what opposite is. It's at the bottom, so it's negative 12. Okay, and then you do your Pythagoras. So this is why I said you have to use brackets for the sake of BODMAS, because if you write negative 13 square, look at my calculator here. Negative 13 square, it's actually negative 169. Why? Because you didn't put brackets. It's BODMAS, right? So then the calculator actually squares the 13 and then multiplies it with a negative. So if you don't put in brackets here, if you say negative 13 squared and your answer is a positive 169, it's incorrect. It's actually, it does not follow because you didn't respect BODMAS. If you put brackets there, if you put negative 13 squared in brackets there, it becomes a positive number. Okay, and then you pick the O value which is applicable, right? Because now you're going to square root 144, which is positive 12 or negative 12, because BODMAS, if I say negative 12 squared, it's a positive number. 12 squared, it's also a positive number. According to where we zoomed in, the negative number is the one that is applicable, right? Then you need to answer the question. Okay, cosec, it's the reciprocal of sine. In other words, cosec is the same as 1 over sine. Cosec A is the same as 1 over sine A. Work out what sine A is. So it's SOHCAHTOA O over H. Our O is negative 12. Our H is always positive. Okay? It's negative 12 over 13. Cosec, remember now this is a division sign, a fraction. We're saying 1 divided by sine A. 1 divided by sine A. And then we tip and times the second one, the second fraction. It will be times 13 over negative 12. Simplify it 1 times, 1 is an identity. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4. So 1 times a fraction as well. Negative 13 over 12 is negative 13 over 12. Okay, and then you're done. Some of you are stopping by sine A, right? And then you're forgetting to actually answer the question. What is it that you're supposed to determine? Remember, all of this, the casting, picking your territory, it's a preparation to actually answer the question. Please make sure that you answer the question at the end with the ratios that you found. Okay, so now for 1.2, we need to find what this fraction is. Do not reinvent the wheel. You've already calculated what cosec A is. All you have to do now is square it. Divided by, this means divide. Cot squared A, so you just need to find out what 10 is, right? Cot is the reciprocal of 10. 10, it's over, opposite over the adjacent, which happens to be a positive number because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then please go back to the question, answer the question. So it's 1 minus. Equal to means it's exactly the same as. Where I see my cosec, I'm going to plug in negative 13 over 12, negative, but then I need to square him because Mr. Marker said squared. Just follow the instructions. Okay, this is the division line. Here's my division sign. Divided by 1 over 10a squared equal to 10a is equal to 12 over 15. Okay, so where I see my 10a, this can actually just be 12 over 15, right? And then you can simplify. You can simplify this to say this is actually equal to 12 over 5, okay? Because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, and now you're squaring it, right? And then you tip in times, right? So divide by 1 over 10a squared, it means you're timesing by, so divided by 1 over 10a squared. So if you're tipping in times, it will be times 10a squared over 1. 10a is 12 over 5, so it's 12 over 5 all squared. Okay, now we need to remember I don't think I was sharing the screen. Let me just start again. So divided by 1 over 10a squared. So we're saying times, you're tipping in times 10a squared. 10a is 12 over 15, so it's 12 over 15, but you need to square it. Let's remember the laws of exponents. So you're squaring the numerator and the denominator. Okay, this is the power rule, right? So it's a squared all over b squared. So that's 144. So these two cancel. That's also 25. Those cancel. And then your answer is -1. Thank you.